Hi guys, welcome back to Geeks Love Dogs Book Dragons, and this is the weekly wrap up for March 24th, 2025. This is the video where I tell you what I've read, what I'm reading, what I will read, along with a bunch of other nonsense that you may or may not care about. Either way, I'm so glad you're here. Let's start out with what I've read in the past week. Let's get these out of the way and let's start with Sunrise and the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games series, the second prequel actually, and this one follows Hamish Abernathy at his times in the 50th Hunger Games, the second quarter quell. I am actually going to have a video up for this tomorrow, a full discussion, a full video. So if you want to know details, you might want to check that out. But this was a book I was really interested in and I was really looking forward to, as Hamish was a character I really wanted to see portrayed in a book, hear his story. I found the character to be one of the more intriguing characters that didn't get a deep dive so far. So I was looking forward to this. And if you saw my previous videos, I discussed the fact that I was going to break my TBR for this when I did my TBR game for the month. And I did. And I pushed some other stuff back so I could get this in. And like I said, I'll be doing a review. I've already got it filmed. I'm going to put it up. It'll go up tomorrow. So if you want to know details about this, you can go ahead and check that out. It'll be coming out tomorrow on the channel. So that's what I finished with this week. One of the things I finished. I also read Hero's Journey by Sterling E. Lanier. This is a fantasy book about per hero Destine as he heads south from what was once Canada before an apocalyptic event called the Death. That's now called Canada, not Canada. And he can mentally communicate with animals. Now, you'd think is something like this, where you have a fantasy book that's post-apocalyptic and he can communicate with animals and has animal companions, it would be something that would be up my alley. Peer hero Destine, he's a priest, scholar, and senior killman of the Church Universal. He has a companion that is a morse, which is a moose horse, coming out of Canada. I guess that makes a certain amount of sense. Whose name is Klutz. And he meets a bear he can communicate with by the name of Gorm. Gorm, Gorm, that is. And he also, along the way, meets a slave girl princess by the name of Luchar, and she's a 17-year-old that he rescues along the way, and that's basically the protagonist cast that you follow in this story. And if you think this would be something I'd be into because of basis of animal companions and it being a fantasy, well, that part you'd be right about. But this book dragged. It just did not make me happy. I didn't feel connected to the story. I didn't feel connected to the characters. The prose was very difficult. Not that it was hard to read, it just was not engaging. I didn't have a lot of fun with it. I know this is a very famous, very popular, very loved fantasy book, and it's proof that not every book is for everyone. There were some scenes I enjoyed. I did enjoy the characters as a whole. I just couldn't get past the way it was written. It just felt a bit boring. It felt a bit dry. It felt like I was listening to the teacher from Ferris Bueller delivering the Smoot-Hawley speech in class. It just dragged and dragged in my mind. I could not get there with it. And I'm sad about that because I really wanted to enjoy it. My month started out really good, but has gone downhill since, sadly. That was a 2-star read for me. The characters, the basic storyline was fine. I just could not connect with the writing, the prose. It might be me. I might be getting burned out. I've been reading a lot lately. I might have overdone it on my TBR. It happens. What else did I finish? I did read Kaiju number 8, volume 11. It's a manga. It's about fighting off kaiju, and one of the main characters in here turns into a human-sized kaiju, and it's fun, it's just a bit over the top craziness. It's a nice break from some dense reading. It was good. I enjoyed it. There's the main character as a kaiju, so you can see who he is. Nice that I turn open to there automatically. But yeah, it's just a fun read. We all need something to take the edge off sometimes, get a little brain rest. And I never read, I not usually don't read more than one manga in a week. or even in a month usually, but I found something that I've been looking for years. It is a hockey manga. And you may not care, but that's a big deal for me. I've been looking for hockey manga forever. I love sports manga, sports anime, and I found everything from American football, and believe it or not, tennis, basketball, soccer, of course, and they're good. I just never had found a hockey one before. And I happened to be walking through Barnes and Noble and saw one copy of this in their new releases, and I had to pick it up, and I had to read it instantly, and I did. It was fun. It was okay. It was written though, so a beginner who is just getting into hockey can understand the rules and how to play. So it's pretty simplified that way. The story itself wouldn't be unfamiliar. The main character, which you see here on the cover, is a ex figure skater who had a meltdown, was basically kicked out of the sport, changes high schools, and is now confronted with some new opportunities. I'm not going to get into much detail because even though I don't think anybody will watch it, I might do a manga review and put it up on the channel in a couple of days. I'm going to take a shot. It's just because it's a big deal to me. And like I said, I'm always looking for hockey manga, hockey fiction of any kind, and it is impossible to find hockey fiction other than those questionable romance, erotic books that are out there. And I've seen snippets of those posted, and yeah, no, not for me. Bit much for me. But anyway, so I might do that just for fun. If you want, check it out. Might give you a, just might be something you're interested in. It might be a deep dive that gets you in the manga, or maybe you do read manga, or you may not care. Either way, I hope you show up for it. I do like the fact that I think the guy who wrote this, even though he's Japanese, might be a Pittsburgh Penguins fan. And I'll tell you why. Because not only does he number the main character 66 after the greatest hockey player who ever lived, Mario Lemieux, but there is a reference in here where he starts talking about how great Sidney Crosby is, who is another Pittsburgh Penguin, is fantastic, of course. And so just to show you, they do talk about Sidney Crosby. I was amused, made me happy, made me like the book more. Don't judge. So, yeah, like I said, I might do a review on that, just for the fun of it. I also did do a graphic novel this week. I finished Something is Killing the Children Volume 3, which I believe ends that arc for that story. It's still good. It's not as good as the first one, but it's readable. I'm reading it on Comixology, so I'm actually reading more than one graphic novel at a time. Well, I have that as well. Someone tries to tell you that manga or graphic novels or audiobooks or ebooks or whatever are not reading. Just tell them they're stupid because they obviously don't know what they're talking about. Me ranting again. Anyway, so that's what I've finished this week completely. As far as what I am reading currently, I am about halfway through The Only One Left by Riley Sager. About halfway through this week. So I should finish that in the next day or two. Let me move some stuff. And I am just getting started on The Best of Robert Bloch. If you don't know, Robert Bloch is the guy who wrote the original Psycho novel that the movie was based on. And I've read a few of his short stories, and they're rather interesting already. So looking forward to getting into that. And like I said, I may have overdone it on what I predicted I was going to read through my TBR game, because I have like just over a week left, and those are what I'm working on. And what I have to get to this week would be this chunky puppy, and it's big enough as far as page count goes, but 450, 500 plus pages, 500 plus pages. But I'm going to have to jump on that real quick, because it isn't just the amount of pages, it's the density of it. It's pretty hardcore sci-fi. If any of you know it, this is the second book in the 3 Body Problem series by Cixin Liu. Definitely got to get to that soon. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it through any of my TBR. I haven't even started the Robert Holdstock book as well, Mythago Woods, which I really wanted to read because I have the rest of the series, and I can't get to it until I finish the first one. But yeah, and that's a fairly dense reading from what I've heard. 300 pages, but fairly dense for fantasy. So that's a lot of reading between what I'm currently already started and what I have to read, going into the final 10 days of, or not even 10 days, geez, it's only a week now, isn't it? Left in the month. Man, time goes by fast. Also haven't started Saga. I'll get that done this week. This is volume 11. That'll probably be done, no problem. Graphic novels obviously take a lot less time. Still count though. They're still reading. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So that's my to be read this week. And as far as what I've done on the channel this week, so Saturday morning I did post a unboxing video of a set of vintage spy crime books that I got for $1 a piece. And I posted that Saturday morning. So you want to check that out if you like old school paperbacks, vintage crime and spy stuff. Excuse me, that unboxing would have been Sunday morning I posted it. But earlier in the week I did a full vintage paperback book haul video. If you want to check those out, if you're into, like I said, vintage paperbacks, old school paperbacks, those are up there. There's a lot of good sci-fi and such in the original video that I posted, the vintage book haul. Also, of course, there was last week's weekly wrap up. If you haven't seen it, go check it out so you can see what I ranted about then. Like I said, I'm going to have tomorrow, there will be a review of Sunrise on the Reaping, the Hunger Games prequel, and I'm going to consider, like I said, doing the manga review just because I'm excited about getting a hockey one. So if you want to see that, those are coming up this week. And then Thursday or Friday this week will be a regular my March book haul for the month. Check that out. Some good stuff in there. I know everybody loves book hauls, so I will empty my wallet and fill my shelves and my floors and my tables with books just to make you guys happy. Hope you appreciate it. So anyway, that's the channel stuff for the week and what's coming. And I hope you'll join me. I hope you'll check them out. I really do. So let's talk about some other stuff. Let's talk about what I watched this week. It might be interesting. I actually have something pretty interesting this week because I was struggling with some insomnia and didn't want to read at that point. So I was flipping through Tubi and I found a movie that kind of made me laugh. It's called Georgia Peaches. It's a 1980s kind of ripoff or homage, or, well, no, it's a ripoff of Smokey and the Bandit type movies, because after the success of that, everybody wanted to make one. It even had a silver Trans Am in it. But the fun part about this bad movie wasn't the movie itself, it was the cast that was in it, because the cast was just, I don't know, it was unusual, it was unique, it was fun. It starred Dirk Benedict, he of the original Battlestar Galactica Starbuck fame. It also starred the country star Tanya Tucker. And if you're a country fan, I'm not, but I know who she is. And if you're a country fan, you can appreciate how that would go. But also, most uniquely, and what caught my attention the most, is the third star of the movie was none other than Terry Nunn. And if you don't know who she was, or who she is, she was the singer of the band Berlin, who had a huge hit with the song No More Words. It was the B-side of Madonna's Crazy for You. I actually bought that single for Berlin's song. The songs were coming from the Vision Quest soundtrack. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, wrestling movie. It had a great soundtrack. Madonna's Crazy for You was one of the hits that came off of it, and Berlin's No More Words was another song that was on it. Berlin was actually pretty popular for a while. This was 1985, if I'm dating myself. You may or may not know it. Either way, check it out. It's a great song. Berlin's a great band. And it was just kind of funny to see Terry Nunn acting in this movie, this bad B movie. And I didn't even know she was an actress, so it was quite surprising. It made my night. It's called Georgia Peaches, like I said, and if you don't know the band Berlin, you should check them out, especially the song No More Words. It's a fantastic song. Now, for anyone who stuck around to hear me rant about what I listened to, I was listening to the new album from Spirit World called Eldorado. Their last album was fantastic. I loved it. It was completely different. It was kind of a heavy metal Western theme, more accurately death metal with a Western theme. The album was called Death Western. I loved the album. It was one of my favorite albums of the year when it came out. Their new album, Eldorado, just came out, and I thought I'd check it out. They apparently are sticking with the theme, and this one did not work as well for me. It did not hit the same notes. It did not spark joy the way the last one did, and that made me sad. Some bands can do that where they can pick a theme and then, with their success of it, follow it up. Ice Nine Kills did it with their horror movie themes, and that kind of became their thing, and they're still putting out quality music even though they're repeating the theme. This one did not work for me. There was a couple okay songs on there, but the follow-up just didn't hit the same notes and just didn't hit the same quality as Death Western did. Sadly, sorry, did not like that one. That is what I've read, what I'm reading, what I'm going to read, what has been up and will be up with the channel, what I've watched, and what I've listened to. And if you stuck with me, thank you very much. I appreciate you more than you know. And I will quit ranting before this video gets too long. I just want to say, remember, the secret to Zen is pet dogs, read books, and listen to metal. Please like, comment, subscribe. Please come back. I'd love to hear from you. And have a great day.